Okay. As I sent a message to James earlier, I don't have any agenda other than to meet everyone and hear from all of you. I'm so excited about this. Maybe we could kick this off by starting with Professor Stoner, who is sort of the, or not sort of, who is the brainchild behind Global Movement Initiative and the idea to get this storybook going. Professor Stoner, do you want to start with your introduction and go from there?
Well, Harris, thank you very much for the invitation and the generous acknowledgement. I appreciate it. I want to take full credit for doing one of the smartest things I ever did in my life, which was get out of the way and let people who are much more competent than I do a much better job than I could have done. And so I have done nothing on this except maybe cheerlead a little bit now and then. And Linda and James and Morgane and everyone else and Ken and all the rest of you have done, and Isabel have done a great job in making it happen. So I'm thrilled at what you all have done. And I'll try and remember to get out of the way of other things more often. Thank you.
Well, if anyone has questions, I would say just sort of raise your hand and jump in, because this is just a fun gathering, not a serious meeting. Morgane, you've been with Global Movement for quite a while. Do you want to go?
Okay, I can go on. Yeah, thank you. So nice to see you all. Thank you for your enthusiasm and your contribution to the book. It's great well, we gathered so many people all around the world. It's kind of crazy, and we already speak about volume 2 actually. But yeah, it's very nice to see you. Yeah, as you know, I'm at Excelia Business School in France and part of the Global Movement since 2019, I think. Yes. So shall I throw the ball to someone else?
Linda, would it be possible, just tell us exactly where we are? Everything is submitted, and right now, Routledge has everything they need. They have all of the correct graphics and everything is ready to go. Is that correct?
That's correct. In fact, I've received confirmation from our publisher, the publishing editor, I should say, that they did receive the manuscript and all the supporting material. One of the associates was out on vacation for the first couple of weeks of July. And so I sent a message this morning just confirming that she also has everything she needs. And we're waiting for them to be able to, confirm that or ask for whatever else they might need. And like many of you, the publisher folks are juggling work and conferences and vacations. So it's very hard to be on a set schedule in the middle of the summer. But I would say at this point, no news is good news. You know, they've got it, they've confirmed they've got it, and I'm happy.
At this point, we've not yet received a timeline. I think all of you would like to have a timeline to know when it's coming out. But Linda, I'm correct in saying that they've said they've confirmed they have everything, but we haven't been given a firm timeline yet for when it will come out.
That's correct. With all of the contractual materials that they sent us, they indicated a fairly quick timeline, but I think it could be anywhere from a month to 3 months or perhaps longer. Perhaps Isabel knows more because she's worked with this publisher before. But from what they've sent us at this point, we don't have anything specific, but I think we're hoping for a couple of months to publication.
Isabel, what was your experience?
I think it may take a little bit longer, and then what in my experience, there comes another round where they say, okay, please contact all the contributing authors and make sure that they accept all the edits, because there is a comma here, an accent there, and the turnaround is very tight. So normally it is, oh, we have 5 days to get it back, and So it's very tight. I think that's something that we may expect still. I think a book finishes many times, and every time it's an opportunity to celebrate, because you say, oh, we are done, and then it's another round, and then, oh, we are done now, and then it's another round. So it's just opportunities to toast and celebrate.
Isabel, as long as you're speaking, do you want to give us an introduction and a quick couple of comments about your participation, global movement, and so on?
Well, I think that maybe we could go around to the room, because we all may have an angle where we connect to this project. And some of us know one another from different places, but what were the different angles of the star, like the intranet, no? Where we all connected with this project? And I can start sharing mine. Well, it goes back maybe to 2019, when Jim, you started with this idea of the global movement, and have been really pushing and persisting and being a loud voice wherever you go. And then Morgan, when you said, oh, let's do a book about that. And I think that these were and I said, of course, I am there. Yes, you can count on me, because you're really accelerating change with what you do. And I was very honored to be part of this project and provide a little experience of having published with Routledge and get a contract from. So maybe I say, who goes next?
You know, maybe we should ask, is there anyone on the call that has a time restriction? Because it's meet and greet time, but if anyone has to leave quickly, they can go first.
I'd like to go first, only because this is Jed Lindholm, and I'm glad to be here. I'm excited by this movement. I've got a class going right now. These are high school students who are working on entrepreneurship for sustainability. And through Jim's initiative and through Isabel's, thought leadership, the idea of the sustainability mindset and sustainability as a leadership challenge is just being eaten up by all the students. And I've introduced it now to a brand new group of high school students who are looking to get into college in the next year, 2 years, but they are aware about sustainability now. And they're doing research in the room right next to me while I'm here. So I'll have to jump off, but I'm glad for this opportunity, and I look forward to continued collaboration.
Wow.
A lot of things happening. It's great.
Thank you, Jed. Could you tell us both where you are and just like the elevator pitch for your chapter, the short, in case
Sure
some
will.
haven't had a chance to read the entire manuscript yet?
No, excellent. Thank you, because this is what I need to be doing. But it's Jed Lindholm. I'm here in Worcester, Massachusetts at Worcester Polytechnic Institute. I teach leadership and leading change at the undergraduate and graduate level. My chapter is how I have been able to socialize sustainability and the SDGs in the department here in the School of Business. And WPI does have a sustainability plan that is aligned, but it's just becoming tighter and tighter. And through Isabel's principles of sustainability mindset, we are the School of Business is getting out of its silo and interconnecting itself in a very natural way and a very direct way, connected to finance, connected to strategy, connected to developing leaders who have a greater awareness of these business challenges for prosperity and personal growth. So yeah, it's all coming together for the next step. Yeah, it's great.
Thank you, and thank you for the chapter. Again, I am so excited about what all of you have done to contribute to this work. You know, there are times I think for each of us to get a little down about, are we making a difference? And pulling all of your chapters together was the best up I've had in a long time. So thank you all. Orla, I saw your hand raised. Did you want to go next or need to go next?
Yes, please, if that's possible. I'm also working actually. So I'm Orla Kelleher. I'm from University of Derby, which is a university in the heartlands of the UK. And my chapter was, I lead on Prime for the college. So my chapter was on how we're trying to embed Prime. So it kind of covers that plus a range of initiatives that we are doing to try and transform our own curriculum and research here. So it includes things like the new masters that we've just launched this year since March, and Isabel joined us on Friday. That's with business leaders who are actually implementing into their organizations through the program. But I'm also revalidating that for full-time students. So that's going to be interesting. And also we also partnered outside of our college with Prime, with the College of Science and Engineering, to try and build into that environmental and natural built environment expertise to try and kind of co-partner on Prime, which we did last year. And yeah, we just got carbon literate accreditation just last week. So we are carbon literate organization accredited now with the CLP. So as part of that, I've been training. We've about 50 staff that we've brought through our own carbon literacy program who've now become certified. And why that's important is through that certification, they pledge to embed climate change and carbon literacy into their programs and curriculum. So we have, you know, lecturers and departmental heads from marketing, finance, economics, business, hospitality, law, criminology, policing, and sociology, all now embedding that in their curriculum. So that's been another kind of key push in terms of transforming our own college. And the thing I'm working on right now for tomorrow is I was trying to find a way to bring this into our own college strategy, because we were, let's just say that's a weak area and we didn't have a sustainability strategy. So there's been a group of us working on that. So we now have a sustainability strategy that we're going through a consultation across the college with the hope to really start to become clear about how we're embedding this. So far, we've already got, thankfully, our university embedded ESD, Education for Sustainable Development. So as part of that, we're embedding the UN SDGs, carbon literacy, the UNESCO competencies. So we already have that kind of in progress now, but I'm hoping we can get to a more clear kind of purpose vision and stance around what we're doing, so it becomes core to how we go on. So I think that's enough for now. And obviously I'm very grateful to, first of all, Isabel, who as always has been very influential with the sustainability mindset work, but also I really appreciate the opportunity to write about this, because I don't know about you guys, but I'm so busy don't get the chance to reflect on it very often. And it always feels it's pushing uphill. So I just want to say I was grateful for the opportunity, and grateful to know that all of you guys exist. I would like to become part of global movement, whatever that's involved. So maybe that's another conversation, but that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Fabio, I see your hand raised. Is it because you'd like to go next?
Yes, thank you, Linda. And it's very nice to meet you all. Now online. I'm sorry for the background noise. I'm at a food court in a mall with my daughter. I couldn't find any place more silent than this. But again, it's a pleasure to be here. I didn't make the effort to be here because I want to see you all. Well, I'm Fabio. I work for Foundation Getúlio Vargas, which is a main business school here in Brazil, absolutely the most important. I came across the call for chapters on LinkedIn in a post from Susana Pereira. And I just figured that, hey, that's a good place to present what we've been doing here at FGV, as we call the institution. And so now we are here. My chapter is about creativity and sustainability. It's an outcome, let's say, from a full week workshop that we did with international students visiting FGV, and then later we did another round with students, Brazilian students here at FGV, and we mixed our approach to creativity and how to enhance creativity in the quest for solutions applied to sustainable solutions. So it was a really hands-on experience, much like design thinking, but with a full approach, or a more, let's say, forget about that, a deeper approach on creativity. So that's, and I'm also curious, as Orla said, about how to get more engaged with the global movement. So that would be my question. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think engagement with global movement seems to be a theme, which is wonderful. And we will perhaps let James Weichert or Professor Stoner talk about that a little bit more later. Sapasis, I see you raising your hand. And I don't know, you sent me a message earlier about the time. What time is it in India right now?
It's 10 in the night or in the evening, depending on when you go to sleep.
I was afraid it was something like in the middle of the night. So 10 is at least reasonable. Thank you for joining us so much.
Yeah.
You want to go ahead and before you nod off to sleep, would you like to continue with your introduction?
Sure. My name is Shubhashish. I teach in India. Thanks, Isabel, Linda, Morgan, James, for this opportunity. So I have written so many book chapters, but this is the first time I am getting to meet co-authors in a particular book. That itself is very special, because otherwise we just read what we have written and report and it's done. So, and it's really a great idea to think of this as a social global movement, not just writing project, but also, I found this to be really a great exercise of writing in the manner of storytelling, which Linda was very particular. I found it very difficult. I took it up because I thought it's easy. And then when I started writing, I have to keep revising to make it simpler and with no references. But in the end, it really gave me a better idea about myself, more than telling what I have done, reflecting, as one of you said. So it's a great opportunity. I'm really privileged to meet all of you. I hope we form a community and be in touch and do something worthwhile. Thank you.
Thank you. And your chapter is such a great contribution to the book. I mean, you bring such a different perspective, as all of you did, That was one of the exciting things as well, is that you'd think, you know, we're all writing about transforming business education, but the different experiences, the different stories are what made it really special. James?
Subhasis, I want to thank you for that on two different fronts. First of all, telling the story, it came to mind. I've been visiting a number of conferences this spring, sharing the work that we're doing. And the stories seem to be what resonates right now. It's really striking with everyone I've spoken to about the book and the project and the work of Global Movement. The stories seem to be what are inspiring other people to keep on, to move forward. And so I appreciate you bringing that up and taking the challenge on and succeeding in it, doing a wonderful piece. So thank you for that. And secondly, I'll just say quickly, if it is okay with everybody, I would like to include your emails as a part of our Global Movement mailing list. We don't send out a lot of mailings, but occasionally we will add things and alert you to things that are happening. And that is how we keep the network alive.
Fabio, I love your emoji there, animated emoji. That's awesome. Especially in the middle of a food court. High tech. Magdalena, I see your hand raised. Do you want to go next?
Yes, thanks a lot. So I would like to go next, as I have a 10-week-old baby next to me, and I don't know how long I can join the call, but at the moment he's quite curious listening to all the new voices. So that's really nice. Yeah, so my name is Magdalena. I was working at the University of Graz as a researcher, PhD student and lecturer. And I actually saw the email from Morgan asking for contributions. And back then, I was very unsure if I could really contribute something to a book chapter, because I have never written something like that before. And my story was still from a student's perspective. And I'm super, super glad that you then motivated me to still contribute, because first I really thought it's too small, or it's maybe not exciting enough for others to read. But in the end, as already somebody said, it was a super good reflection of what we actually did and achieved. And now I'm even more proud of what we did, actually. And this is a super nice feeling. So thanks a lot for the opportunity you gave me. And very quickly about the chapter, it was about a course that 4 students, including me, were implementing at the university, because all of us were quite frustrating that we were taught in silos, that we did never have the chance to exchange with other disciplines on sustainability views, or also we never worked on real world problems. So this was exactly what we tried to achieve with a new course that we implemented, and we got the chance to do so. So I'm also super glad that the university was open enough to give students the room for creating our own course, so to say. And what we did in the end was implementing a design thinking challenge, working together with different organizations that brought in sustainability issues. And we formed student teams to solve them with specific creativity and innovation approaches. And I wrote the book chapter about the approach of how we did that, because there were quite some challenges, so to say, for students to even know what to do, how to start and who to contact. So we really started from scratch. And I really hope that this might motivate other students or also lecturers then in the end to be open for implementing ideas that come from students, because in the end it's their education. It's super important, I think, to empower students to take ownership of what they learn. And if they're unhappy with it, they should really speak out and be brave enough to do so, because sometimes you just think, okay, it's only like 2 semesters more and then I'm done. But if you really want to see a change also for maybe the other students, next semester students, then I would love to see more and more students taking ownership. So this is my key message also for others from my chapter. And thanks a lot again for having me on this book. And also I really enjoy the call at the moment because I see like all the people are busy with life, teaching, being in the mall with the kids. And it seems that it's very important for most of people to really join this call because it's a very special book.
Thank you so much, and congratulations on your baby. You know, as we're heading through all these deadlines, not everyone saw all of the emails that went back and forth, but you know, it's like, okay, I'm submitting this now because I don't know when I'm going into labor. Those are really important deadlines, and it kind of, for me, I had the blessing of being able to then, you know, be able to relate to each of you on, you know, kind of a one-on-one track, and I greatly appreciate it. So congratulations, but also I wanted to reiterate that student perspective. That was such a great addition to the storybook because most of us are practitioners, but to have a student organized and a student initiative lead to academic change. That was a great additional perspective, or is, for our book. So excellent. Luis, I saw your hand up. Do you want to go next?
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Linda. And very nice to meet you, virtually meet you, all of you. I mean, I've been looking your names at the emails, but I now I can put a face on all those names. I'm Luis. I work at ITESO, Jesuit University in Guadalajara, Mexico. So I wrote about the chapter I wrote about is related to an initiative that we had, and we tried to develop some materials and some course, integral course for teaching finance and economics to undergraduate students mainly, and we were very candid on that chapter. We said where we failed, where mistakes we made, and how we're trying to let's say to reuse that material in a different way, as it was intended at the first place. I'm very thankful for the opportunity to write about in this book. Sustainability is quite sometimes difficult to communicate to economics and finance students. I mean, we are more positively, rationally driven, and then sometimes, unfortunately, on the profession and in the practice, the values are in other parts. I mean, it's not something that economics and finance students take at heart. So it's quite difficult. It took me a little bit of time to develop this kind of ideas, but also we had a lot of help. We have there Frank Werner for Fordham University in the team, and another really valuable people and researchers for all over the Jesuit Business Network, Business School Network, and I think we finally got a really nice product at the end. And the story of all of this, as you were saying, I mean, it's a challenge to write it. If you are used to write academic papers and journals, it's quite difficult to put that in the story, but that helps you a lot. And thanks, James, for that, and Jim, because it makes you to rethink, to put things in place, to find your own into why you are doing things, why you care for sustainability. And finally, if I am at something, it's really valuable to see all of you working on sustainability all over the world, and it makes me hopeful, because if many people is working independently in their own spaces and their own part of the world on this, it means that sustainability doesn't have an owner, doesn't have a only viewpoint. I mean, we have a lot of perspective into this, and that it tells me that it's a healthy movement. So I'm very happy to be part of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Luis. Nurete. Am I saying that correctly?
Ah, yes, ignited, yes.
I'm Nurit, actually rhymes with complete and concrete and Pete. And
Thank you
sweet.
for helping with that.
No worries, it's all good.
And thank you for joining us. And I saw your hand raised, so.
Yeah, I do have to leave in about 10 minutes. So I was hoping that I could contribute my part and greet you all here. I'm thrilled to be here and part of this wonderful group. So my name is Nurit Brenner. I'm actually currently living in Cleveland, Ohio, and I'm at Case, Western Reserve University, although I'm not right now faculty there. I've been all over, and I'm originally from Israel, so I have that bit of international and global perspective as well. And so I tend to be very big picture in my thinking, and my chapter is about the basic underlying assumptions of a business school curriculum, and I question them because they are really incompatible with the continued life on this planet, just to be a small thing like that. But my mantra has been in all my classes and all the settings and all the teachings I've done, the mantra is always infinite growth on a finite planet is physically impossible. And I think it's something we all can agree on. And I've even brought this mantra to my students in very conservative universities as well as more liberal ones. And no one can argue it because there's nothing to argue there. There's infinite growth on a finite planet is physically impossible. And when we apply that then to every single one of the courses in a business school curriculum, it begins to unravel everything. I mean, you can't, what is marketing about? It's about selling more widgets, right? Obviously today we do more than that, but that's growth, right? Economics is about growth. We usually question GDP. We don't usually question any of these things. If you begin to apply just that one fundamental assumption to everything within a business school curriculum, you begin to run into a problem. And that's my mission. And that's what I talk about and I teach and how I've run into walls, bringing that to the attention of the faculty, the leadership in a university. It goes against, well, anything in a business school, really. So I think you all know that, and I think probably everybody here resonates with that. I even, and this is not a criticism of anyone, but even the word sustainability, of course, is not even the right word anymore because we are no longer able to sustain. We can't sustain what is. We have to be talking about regenerative practices. What does that mean? How do we get to that point? So these are all questions that are always circling in my mind, and some of them went into this chapter. I probably have more to say about it because it's my passion. But I am thrilled to be one of the contributing authors to this wonderful group and to this book that's coming out. And I hope that we are getting our message out to the world in every way we possibly can, because it is a crucial message today. It is the only thing that we can be talking about, I think. Considering the latest news also, I get my alerts, and we don't have to talk about the heat, but this is disturbing what's going on, and it's exactly right on target. If those of you, I'm sure, have known about Donella Meadows and Limits to Growth, which is one of the seminal works, the most important works, I should say, that have come out in the past 50 years. So that also goes into my own thinking. Anyway, I could talk about it all day, as I'm sure all of you can too, but I will step back, and thank you so much for inviting me to be part of this. I appreciate it.
Thank you for being one of the pioneers and storytellers, and thumbs up. I'll quit talking, and Miguel, your hand was raised. You're up.
Yes, thank you very much, Linda. And thank you very much, Isabel. Thank you very much, Morgan, for this opportunity. I'm very happy to be in here with you all. As many participants were saying, I mean, we usually try and to incorporate some innovations, in our classes, in our pedagogical methodologies, but perhaps we usually don't have the proper outlet to show, to explain, to try to disseminate this kind of practices and new methods. So thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity for being part of this very nice project that we are developing together. And I will let Marina Schmitz to explain you the highlights of our book chapter. You know, we are co-authors in this project, and actually she was the true inspiration for move forward this chapter. Thank you so much, Marina.
What a perfect handoff. It must be Marina's turn.
Yeah, thanks, Miguel, for throwing over the ball here, literally. I was actually about to say the same about you, so you dragged me into this project, by the way. No, I mean, Miguel was kind enough to share the call, as we have been collaborating over the past years. We are both very passionate about teaching, about education, about sustainability foremost, and also about nature and ecosystems. And that is precisely what we are also talking about in the book chapter. So it's more about reintroducing examples that we and natural ecosystems, and how these examples could inspire business and management education, because we have certain examples from our world and from society, mostly of course only corporate examples that we discuss, but what about if we bring certain examples from natural ecosystems to the classroom and discuss them, and also find parallels to how nature is working and functioning, and kind of rebuilding this relationship that actually a lot of the phenomena that we observe today are actually something not quite artificial, but something very natural and stem from the natural ecosystems that operate around us. And we hope that this will somehow at least contribute to reconnecting ourselves to ourselves as educators, as students, as citizens here on the planet, but also to our Mother Earth, if you want to say so, in that specific way. So I have to give the credit back, by the way, also to Miguel. So it's actually not entirely my idea. So I think it's something that we co-developed together. I think the first ideas were sparking also when we were collaborating a lot more, Miguel and I. So we had a lot of discussions also, probably coincidentally, but maybe also not so coincidentally, by the seaside and so on and so forth. We were also having the pleasure to meet Isabel at home last year, which is, I mean, it feels so long ago, but it was just like very recently. And I think that is also how the connections then blossomed. And I think what I can definitely say is that I have been very grateful for meeting Miguel, who is not only a colleague of mine and turned into a very dear friend. So I think that is also something that sustainability can do, that it connects people beyond profession in many cases. At least that has been true for myself. And just maybe one or two sentences about myself. So I'm now, so I'm German. I'm sitting in Cologne in Germany, but I'm working with a business school in Slovenia with IDC Bled School of Management. And I try my best to connect with fellow educators who are as passionate about sustainability as I am. And that is even more true for this room. So I'm very, very excited about this book, about how passionate and thrilled people are in this room to talk about the topic and to share it even further. So that is, very, very hopeful for the future also to see. So thanks a lot for having us.
Oh, thank you, Marina and Miguel. And we don't care whose idea it was. We're just happy that you both had it and shared it with us. It's that storytelling, right? Anyone else that needs to go next? In my screen, Joanna.
Yes, good afternoon. Hello, I'm calling from Paris. I'm Joanna Wagner, and I'm here with Karina Hopper. We are both the co-founders of Join Educ, and we also at the initiative of Back to School for the Planet, which is the initiative that we are describing in our chapter. So we are both part-time higher education lecturers, so we are not researchers, and we are not only in one in one institution. And Back to School for the Planet basically is calling alumni back to school for the planet. So inviting them back to attend new courses on sustainability. So we found that way to try to help professionals already working to get these new skills and new knowledge that we are all developing in our institution, so that they get that kind of update on their skills and knowledge that they have missed when they were students themselves. And this brings a lot of value to them, of course, to the students and to the professors. And it's very moving to listen to all your testimonials, I think. And just it was said earlier, it gives a lot of hope to see that we are all doing our part and trying to contribute to like this systemic change that was also mentioned earlier. So thank you very much for that opportunity, and I will let Karina say a few words as well. But thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Joanna. Yes, so Joanna has shared a bit about me as well. I'm also a sustainability lecturer teaching primarily at ESSEC Business School, but I'm originally from the US, currently living in Barcelona, Spain, soon to be living in Santiago, Chile. In case anyone happens to be in those areas, I always like to meet you in person as well. I guess I could add something about Join Educ, since Joanna mentioned it very, very briefly. But aside from our work with Back to School for the Planet, we have also been developing over the past 3 years the first sustainability accreditation for higher education programs, specifically in their curricula. And we've developed that under the guidance of AFNOR, which is the National Standardization Organization of France. And it's going to be launching this year, so hopefully I can connect with you all if you have any questions about that as well. But that's in addition to our work on the chapter with Back to School for the Planet, which we hope that you will read. I look forward to reading all of your chapters and learning from you. And I can say that I feel much more inspired to get the book and to look into your initiatives more now that I've seen you in person. It's in person now. It's definitely has a different feel to it. So I thank you for organizing this virtual meeting.
You've read my mind, Karina. I was going to, at the end, sort of remind everyone that I sent out the document, the manuscript document. So you all have previews of coming attractions. We don't expect there to be massive changes. So you can start reading other people's chapters whenever you have the time, if you're sitting by the beach or enjoying your summer vacation. So
that's a great idea. Thank you.
Yeah. Let's see, who have we not talked to? Levosia, is that how you say it? Levosoa?
Lovasoa.
Oh my goodness, I was way off.
Okay. I'm used to that. It's okay. So I'm Lovasoa Ramboarisata. I'm a faculty member of a business school in Montreal, Canada. My co-authors are not here. We are free on the chapter. Me, Céline Berrier-Lucas, who is in Paris, France, and Dimbi Ramonzi, who is in La Rochelle, a colleague of Isabelle. Yes, in fact, it was Dimbi who found out about the call. And Dimbi is already doing many things in responsible management education, sustainability, etc. But we used to work together. We're doing research together. We're doing activism together. So he contacted me and Celine. And so we are in the chapter. Our focus is on the articulation between responsible management education and the decolonization of universities and business school on the other side. We plead for an association of these two agendas. We think that sustainability, the global movement, responsible management education cannot be dissociated from decolonization, indigenization. And it's not only about discourse. In the chapter, our stories are about how we did that, how we have done that, and how we are still doing that in our own teaching at the undergrad and graduate studies. So we raise students' awareness about the colonial foundations of management education and how we can decolonize the curriculum. And even though it seems very abstract and theoretical, we work with real cases. So for example, we use the case of Catherine Donnelly Foundation, which is a private investor in Canada, which decided to change completely its way of analyzing investment opportunities. So Catherine Donnelly Foundation started a few years ago to rethink the way they allotted the investment funds and also how they interact with indigenous entrepreneurs. So that's one of the examples we use in our courses, and there are also some other things we do. We also use art. For example, we invite students to interpret paintings. So for example, a painting of a slave ship is used because when we analyze those paintings, and we are aided by philosophers also in analyzing them, we would find, the students would find that our way of organizing sustainability now in the 21st century still epitomizes how the distribution of roles were done on the slave ships. So we have to be very cautious about the way how we organize what we do when faced with the climate crisis, not to put in place policies which end up to exclude some parts of the populations around the world. So I may talk about this till tomorrow, but I think I've already talked enough. We really hope that our thinking and also our praxis, educational praxis about decolonization could be a relevant part of the ongoing process of responsibilizing business schools.
Absolutely, it is. Thank you for your contributions. And we are seeing a theme here, right? That we could all, once we get into this, we could just keep going. Clearly, you're all quite professional in that you know, okay, I'm really into this, but now we have to let someone else. Jean-Claude, are you ready to share your story? And who?
Yes, I am. Hello, everybody. I'm Jean-Claude Boldrini. I was an associate professor at Université of Nantes in France. First of all, I would like to thank my co-author, Donatienne Delorme, her colleagues at Excelia Business Schools in La Rochelle, and all the coordinators who have given me the opportunity to contribute to this book. This book is really a great idea. With Donatienne, our chapter concerns a 10-year experiment. For 10 years, I was involved in research projects or students' graduation projects in circular economy. Sometimes we needed to use business models, and at the beginning, the notion of circular business model did not exist. When the first models were published, we didn't feel very comfortable with them. It's why with a colleague, we decided to design our own circular sustainable business model. In the same time, we wanted to test it, to experiment it in new research projects or in graduation projects. And we wanted to make sure that this model was both teachable to students and usable by professionals. And it is this process that we relate in the chapter. So thank you.
Thank you. And by the way, thank you so much for working with us with your diagrams of that model, which are excellent, but we had to tweak them for the publisher. And I think they're awesome. I think it'll really help others that are reading the chapter. So thanks so much. Ken.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ken Sagendorf. I'm at Regis University in Denver, Colorado. I've been part of Global Movement since nearly the beginning. We were doing work in regenerative design, and my chapter is a failure story of us proposing and not being allowed to proceed with a master's degree in regenerative finance and economics. And the story really is about gathering folks from all across the country. I mean, we have professors from other institutions who were volunteering to help us design this degree. Jim Stoner was flying in and making introductions to John Fullerton at the Capital Institute. And, you know, we were building out this really, really wonderful graduate experience for folks to be change agents with this sustainability lens in the finance and economics fields. And once we started working with our faculty who were not as excited and included in the original process, things broke down because, you know, we wanted to bring all of the traditions in for all the disciplines that we've ever taught. And you know, we're running, I just got back from a conference with Jim playing the role of Linda because she couldn't attend. And, you know, I'm amazed as we go out to these conferences because people still want to debate whether there is a climate emergency. And I think that is, you know, that is a fundamental issue when we get to these things. And so, you know, sessions like what should we teach instead are really difficult with a lot of faculty because they still want to teach all the things that they themselves learned and can't see that the results will lead us down the same path. So it's a fun story to write about why we weren't allowed to get that degree through. We'll likely try again here shortly to push something through like that, and the work continues. Nice to hear all of your stories.
Thank you so much, Ken, for a lot of things, including your chapter. Morgane, I know that you have a chapter with your colleagues, and so you're both editor and author. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about your group's chapter?
Yeah, sure. So I wrote this chapter together with Valérie, who was there at the beginning. She's the dean of Excelia Business School, the dean of the faculty, and Jesus Gonzalez Felio, who was my boss. Now he quitted his position. He was there at Excelia, but he was the boss of the supply chain department. And we are lucky to be in a business school that is really open to change, so we can propose things and they accept or not. But here came the possibility to create a new Master of Science in the field of supply chain management. And then Jesus came to us and said, okay, we should make a meeting because we have this opportunity now, and we should take it and we should tell the program, contrary to what they do usually, we should tell them what we want to have in this master and not let them tell us what they want to have. So we had this meeting with all the supply chain people, and we had the opportunity, each of us, to tell what we want to do, and if we want to keep the same courses, create a new course. And I proposed to create a course on ethical supply chain management because, as one of you said, I think she left, sustainability is kind of dead. We need to talk about regenerative economy. And to me, it's the same happening in supply chain management. We talk a lot about sustainable supply chain management, but I just had a paper accepted now where we interviewed 30 supply chain managers and consultants, asking them, what is for you a sustainable supply chain management? No one was able to give a proper definition. It's all about economic and sometimes a bit about caring for the environment. But I mean, we talk about it since 30 years, and now it's really time to change. So we cannot wait another 30 years to change things. So for me, my approach now is to talk more about ethics and like what we are doing now, to share our stories, to share true stories, and discuss what is right, what is wrong, what are alternatives. So that's what I'm trying to do. And I explained that in this book chapter, and Jesus is managing the entire program, and Valerie is supporting because she's really into sustainability. That's also an advantage to have a dean that is convinced about sustainability issues and the need to integrate that in all management education courses. So it was quite easy on our side to make things change. And well, I hope that it will come out also in all other universities and business schools. Yeah. And yeah, I got into that. Yeah, before I finished my PhD at the University of Graz, where Magdalena is working. And then I applied to business school in Germany, and that's where I met Ekaterina. She's another colleague from Isabel, who edited another book together with Isabel. And Ekaterina told me kind of, oh, no, you should not go to this business school. I don't recommend it. But I have someone very interesting that you should meet, and she introduced me to Isabel. And then I got part of the PRME working group. So I think it was then 2017, 2018. And in one of the meetings, then I met James Stoner in the meetings that Isabel organized. And I listened to him talking about, yeah, the way we teach, yeah, business as usual, we should stop that. And I was thinking, oh my God, yeah, that's exactly what I think. And then we got into the global movement. Yeah, so that's my story.
I think you've mentioned a few things, Morgane, that a lot of us share, which is James Stoner and Isabel. So both of you have led to all of this. Thank you so much, Isabel. Hearing the stories of stories, and by the way, Isabel wrote a wonderful foreword, 4 thoughts for our book. And we also have some excellent testimonials or endorsements that various known leaders have shared with us graciously. So that's going to be excellent. Isabel, do you want to wrap up with a few thoughts?
Yes, but Ariane, is Ariane on this call? Because we haven't heard her.
I am on this call.
Okay.
I'm mainly listening in, and I didn't play a role in this book, but I am a part of Global Movement, and very happy that this book has come together, and look forward to working and collaborating with all of you, hopefully in the future. Yes, so that's all I have to say.
Okay, good.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Well, Jim, aren't you excited seeing all these things happening? I think we are all part of a chain of change makers, and we happen to meet, you know, the wind brings us together and new things evolve. And it's just wonderful to see all the places that this will continue going. I'm very touched. I don't know, Jim, did you have some thoughts now?
I just don't know what to add. You all are doing such a wonderful job, and I'm so inspired by it. I want to point out that Ariane's job is to keep James and myself and others from self-destructing. And Morgane, as Global Movement Initiative continues to move forward, Ariane is part of that. And James came into this book and she really did a fantastic job to help everybody out too. So it's just great to watch. I'm looking forward to the second volume.
Yeah, definitely. This morning I read a quote and I really liked it, and it said that we may think of ourselves as marginal, but actually we are seeds. And I like that very much because I think because we are all working in the margins, this what we are doing is not mainstream. So it is tiresome and it feels lonely, frustrating, everything goes the other way. But if we think of ourselves as seeds, I think that just the image changes how we may feel about our role. So Linda, what can we say? We should all give a standing ovation to your
Everyone.
leadership in this. Amazing.
Everyone. I will say that this is just the first of hopefully additional conversations that we will have. Some people couldn't join us today, so we'll just try to keep putting these conversations together. Join when you can join, bring colleagues if you can bring colleagues. Of course, we'll continue to update on the publication information or the multiple deadlines that Isabel has alluded to before. So we'll just keep hoping that this breaks all records for fast publication, because I think, but I'm going to flip it back to James Weichert and Professor Stoner and even Ken, you've been out at conferences, and I believe you said each of you have commented that you've seen some interest in this book and the stories that it's telling. If you want to just say quickly a little bit more about that.
I'm going to jump in and springboard off of Isabel's comment, which is, Linda, I think we all owe a huge amount of gratitude to you and a huge clap to you for bringing it over the finish line, because there was so much minutia and fine details that you didn't just manage, that you excelled in. And I wonder at your abilities. I really do. So thank you to you very much for it. In the conferences that I've been at, it was amazing, to use another one of Isabel's metaphors, to see how simply bringing up the idea of stories of change makers planted a seed in people's minds, and they immediately responded to it. I would be sitting at having a drink with somebody, or standing in line for coffee in between sessions, and would say, yes, and we're also working on a book and it's coming out. Well, what's the book about? And it's about stories from change makers transforming business education. And it never went flat. It always was, wow, that's interesting. And what is it specifically? And what are the different chapters? So I think that there is an interest and a need for this kind of thing. I think that's something that Routledge recognized. And I've heard a number of stories for the second book, and those people are interested in writing them. So this is the beginning of a really interesting journey.
Thank you. Ken, Professor Stoner, anything to add?
Except that I echo what James said. Did I mute or not? I'm mute. I echo what James said about the terrific job you and others did. And the story of the book itself would be interesting, because everybody deeply involved in making it happen hit a bump in the road. And some of the bumps in the road were very, very big. And yet somehow or other, everybody stepped up at the right time and came in at the right time and got it done. Linda, you did a great job. Morgane, everybody, James, everybody, and Ariane has been very helpful. Ken's story is going to inspire others to do what he's been doing, etc. So I'm just thrilled with what you all have done. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. Linda, I'll just add and echo what Isabel said. You know, I've been pushing us in Global Movement to share our work with each other so that there was a support group for people to keep going. And I think this book is just that. You know, there is people all around the globe doing this work and pushing the boundaries and fighting uphill. And despite continued resistance, the more we share these things with each other and the more we can support each other, the better this work will become. Morgane, as you share that research and people, they're making decisions on different metrics right now. And so we have to at least get this to an and conversation so we can push it over the hump and get it to the conversation. And we're going to have to rely and lean into each other. So thank you, Linda, Isabel, and Morgane, and Jim, and James, and Ariane for putting this all together.
Linda, may I share a poem to close this wonderful session? Yeah,
of course.
It's a poem called Messengers that I wrote, I don't know, a number of years ago. It says, I see my life as a journey along unknown paths, yet at the same time, they are very familiar to me. Something recognizes them deep in my soul. As I walk, sometimes it's dark, and I have to say to myself, just keep going, just walk. Other times, it's clear and sunny, and I may invite others to join. Sorry. And then it's suddenly foggy, and I try to understand, but I use the wrong tool, thinking with my mind, when I should listen with my heart. There are so many crossroads where I wonder which is the path, and the mountains in front are tall, too tall to see what lays behind. Sometimes the road is straight and long with no bends and no signs, and I wonder to myself if I'm on the right one. But somehow along the way, people will then appear. They bring a message, hold up a sign, they point with their hands, their feet, or their eyes. They have a word or bring silence to say what I need to know. They are strangers, yet at the same time, they are very familiar to me. Something recognizes them deep in my soul. As I see them, their presence says, just keep going, just walk.
Thank you.
Not a lot of things leave me speechless, but that leaves me speechless and emotional. So thank you very much for sharing that. I know we've kept everyone a little over an hour, not that we put a limit on it, but I am respectful of everyone's time. And again, there's no words after that. That is simply beautiful. Perhaps we could talk Isabel into sending that to me in a written form and I can share it with everyone. And I would say that stay tuned for more emails and hopefully they will be beautiful sharings like that. And an opportunity for us to come together and work with one another. And then there might be a few for, oh my gosh, we've got to come up with this really fast, but we'll hope that it'll be the first two more. Thank you everyone for sharing your stories and your time with us today. This is wonderful, just wonderful.
Thank you, bye everybody. Bye bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
But she made me cry.
Absolutely. Oh my God.
She's amazing, isn't she amazing? Just wonderful. As are you all also.
Yeah.